I've been an entrepreneur for a long time and suffer from shiny penny syndrome. I'll chase the next best thing because it's much more fun. One of the things we try to be disciplined about as we bring a new product into the market is really testing that first with a client. If we aren't putting it in front of even just the concept before we've got the product, we're not putting the concept in front of clients, say, what do you think of this? Would you buy this? But it's about rapid prototyping, getting something in front of people and seeing if there's demand.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and itself. Today, we have Grant Leishman, the CEO of GrowUp Greenwalls, a company that is evolving the look and beauty of your space. Serving companies across the U.S. with a 25% growth rate in 2025, Grant is here to discuss his company and how he's working to grow every single day. Thank you so much for joining me today, Grant.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Your business is very singular. I've seen a lot of different exterior design companies. I've seen a lot of different businesses that are focused on changing the look and beauty of spaces, but you guys are doing it in a much different way. Can you give me a breakdown of how you came up with the concept, how you're building those beautiful structures that I can see in the background here, and what posed this idea and brought the company to where it is in 2025?
Sure, thanks, Carl. Yeah, it is a unique product, and it's a great space. It's a real feel good space. Um, you never get to a point where you're talking to someone who goes, "I don't want a green wall." Right? Everyone wants one. Everyone loves it, and so yeah, I got you from business and from marketing, and was working on the green wall product with the manufacturer, how we put live plants on walls, right? And it's all about just, we all know, and the term we use is biophilia, but we all know, and we just inherently know that if we're in nature, we feel better, we feel happier, right? And so that really resonated with me with the first time I thought about it. And I worked in corporate offices most of my life, and the opportunity to work in the space and put live plants on the wall and have an efficient and effective way of keeping them alive was just a really fun project. When I was looking for something different to do, I'd sold my ad agency and wanted to do my next business and thought, well, here's selling a product. I'm not selling a service. I'm not selling advertising. I want to sell a product. And we do sell a service now. It's a real custom design. Everything we do is custom designed. We do live plants. We do preserved moss. We do artificial plants, but it's all about bringing green into the built environment and making us feel like we're outdoors.
Beautiful. And I couldn't agree more. I recently moved to Georgia, and just the green and the environment and living here it's refreshing, right? And to have that into a corporate space must be literally a breath of fresh air, right? And what a beautiful background. You come in from an ad agency like us and sold that off. And then I've thought the same thing, man. Products are way easier than service, for sure, above and beyond, right? Selling a product is much easier than in hand holding someone. But as you said, you've molded it into more of a service because you're custom developing. Can you talk to me a little bit about, like, a recent project that you're proud of? So give an idea to the customers of kind of what you're developing today.
Yeah. So proud of all the projects we do. And so what we bring, right? And to talk to the service thing is, it's all very well to want to sell a product, but at the end of the day, we can all buy products, and, we can buy them on Amazon or wherever and you get a product and it comes home and it's just a product. What we offer and where we work with clients is helping them to deliver on a vision, right? So when we're working with an architect or a designer or a building owner, they're going, I want to put some green in this space, and we work with them to find the right solutions, right? So you can see the bamboo behind me. It's a mixture of real and artificial, and that was a creative solution to put some green into a space in a beautiful home that wanted something different. They didn't want just plants. They didn't want planters on the floor. So that was a really cool project. And we did a huge moss wall at the Chalk Children's Hospital, right? 1,000 square feet of moss. And it's just the way it's been brightened up, the way it's integrated with the rest of the architecture. It just makes probably a very miserable place. No one wants to be taking their child to a hospital, but it just brightens it up and makes it such a wonderfully welcoming space. So those are the kind of projects we do. And it's always a great feeling to see them done.
Super powerful. And are we doing this for regular everyday homes? Are you more in the B2B space? What kind of customers are you servicing, and where are you servicing?
Yeah, so we service the whole country, and we're based in California. So obviously California, Los Angeles is a big market for us. Orange County is a big market for us. We do service the whole country, and predominantly corporate. We do service homeowners. If homeowners reach out to us, we service them, and we've done a lot of homes, and we do a lot of homes, particularly in Southern California. The product is it's not a cheap product. Like most things, there are cheaper options. If you go to Etsy and do it yourself, you can find cheaper options. But if you want something that's custom, we do service homeowners. We predominantly market into the design community. I mean, the bulk of our bigger jobs obviously are corporate.
I love that, and I can assume that, as our world, I think, is evolving, especially in probably the last 4 to 5 years, where everyone seems to be a little more health conscious and environment conscious, that this product really brings the light and brings the environment into a place, like, as you said, using it in a hospital, that brings the life back into it, brings a feeling into it, which is, like I said, very, very not only just powerful, but you as a business owner, something that you can stand behind proudly and represent in a strong way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a lot of ways, COVID was probably quite good for our industry because I think two things have happened. One is people that are now working permanently at home want to make their home office feel a little bit brighter and greener and prettier and all of those sort of things. And having plants in your office, there's no doubt brings an extra level of energy. But also, as people are now moving back into offices and companies are insisting their staff are coming back into the office, people are spending a lot of money and a lot of time trying to make the office a welcoming, hospitable place for them to be. And we did a big project for an ad agency in New York, and we brought in so much green. And no matter, when I look at a space like that and I see how much money is spent on everything else, the LED TVs and the screens and the desks, the thing that people notice is the green.
You know, developing, and you said you did a lot of R&D when you started this company off, right? And I'd love to dive into that a little bit because I'm assuming the way that you're developing these products is very unique.
Sure, our living wall product is very unique. It's very different to a lot of other living wall products. It has a cool honeycomb shape that gives you this really organic design. We try to innovate all the time in terms of not just like, I come at this from a business point of view more than from a design point of view. So when we're innovating as much with what the end product looks like as with how we go about doing it, how we go about making it cost effective, how we go about, for instance, ensuring that we can deliver product that's all, fire resistant and that's been tested and has a certificate to make sure it's safe to go into a big building and, things like that. So that's where a lot of the innovation takes place as well. It's about innovating to deliver a business solution. It's not just about aesthetic design. It's about making sure that we're delivering something that makes sense for the client in that space. I always have a business hat first.
Such a golden nugget for our entrepreneurs, business owners listening to this right now. Listen to how, yes, he wants to change, he wants to innovate, he wants to bring new in, but he has to start with the business first, a business in mind, right? And allowing it to make sure that it's, a lot of business owners, especially in the home improvement space, burn their own company to the ground because they want to innovate, they want to change, but they think of the product first and not the business. And it leads to non-profitable returns in their efforts. Can you talk to us a little bit, maybe give a small piece of advice for these entrepreneurs, especially in the home improvement space, that want to bring in new products into their space, but they're not quite sure how to do it or what's the steps to take? What was your process when you're looking to innovate and change? Can you break us down that mindset a little bit?
Yeah, and it's always tempting, right? And I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I say I suffer from shiny penny syndrome. I'll chase the next best thing because it's much more fun. Most entrepreneurs, in my experience, and certainly for me, much prefer starting things than following through on them. So, that is. And so one of the things we try to be disciplined about as we bring a new product into the market or a new sub-product or innovation into the market is really testing that first with a client, right? As much as we might like a project, as much as we might like a product, if we aren't putting it in front of even just the concept before we've got the product, we're not putting the concept in front of clients, say, what do you think of this? Would you buy this? And if we get enough people going, yes, I would buy that, then we go ahead and we finish off the development piece. But it's about rapid prototyping, getting something in front of people and seeing if there's demand. And we haven't always done that. I mean, we have bought and built products that we believed were great products. And we still can't believe that people don't just buy them every day. We've got, and so that was that. There's no doubt a learning and a mistake. And so now as we bring new products to market, it's not just about having one customer. It's about making sure you get it in front of a few people, as many as you can, get it tested, get them showing some interest, hopefully get them making some commitment. And then, you've got a product that you can leverage and scale. we try not to be one-off guys if we can help it. It's all about, it's good for our business and good for their business if we can do it in a good way.
Entrepreneurs, listen to that, rewind it, go back to it and listen to it again, because it is such a massive mistake that I see across all industries. It's not just home improvement, it's in all industries where we make assumptions based around our internal feelings. Even if our full staff and our entire employment feels the same way about success, the unfortunate truth is that they're not the one putting the money in your pocket. They're not the ones actually buying. And Grant here has an R&D and a checks and balance system that I think is absolutely perfect. You get the product to almost a prototype position, and then you pitch it and you communicate with the actual buyers to get their input of if they're going to like this or not. And then if they do, that's when he moves forward and puts the actual investment into closing out the product and getting it into market. It's such a big thing. Understand that you as the business owner might have a great idea, but if you are not the buyer, your idea is irrelevant. It's only relevant if your idea resonates with the buyer that's going to pay money. Super, super powerful. Grant, you brought a product and you said it really excelled during COVID because people wanted more green and wanted more involvement into it. And you're innovating your business all the time, bringing in new products. My question to you is, where do you see this industry growing? Where do you see this custom design, this construction industry going in, say, the next 1 to 3 years? Do you see your green products being a part of every part of every part of architect and development? Do you see it evolving in a different way? Where do you see the future going?
Yeah, I think the future can be really lame and say, I think the future is green, but I do really think it is. I think there's huge opportunity for I think people will, where I see it going is I think businesses will continue to want to make their business environments more appealing, whether it's, and I say businesses in the broadest sense, whether it's, assisted living facility or senior living facilities, wanting to bring more green in, more plants into the space. And the better we get at making the products understandable and accessible, the faster we will get them in everywhere. The more, the faster it will grow. We're touching the surface. And if we look to Europe and even Asia, they're a long way ahead in terms of the thinking, in terms of some of the, the bringing nature indoors. And I think at the moment it's seen as it's very aesthetic. And I think as we get better at proving the ROI and showing people that this not only looks great, but it actually makes people happier, makes them spend more in your restaurant, or makes them want to stay in your assisted living facility, or makes them want to come to work and stay there for longer. These are all metrics that are good metrics to prove out. So I think we're excited about the growth and we're excited about where this is going.
I think the future is green is a great catch line. I love that. Yeah, I think that's really powerful. But you're right. I mean, it's not just the fact that it's aesthetically pleasing and people love to see it, as you said, like in the children's hospital, but the environment that it creates for the people could make it so that they love their job, they love their area more, they love the position that they're in because they're happy with their space that they're in. I recently traveled down to Florida, and Florida's a beautiful state, but it was 110 and had 100% humidity. And I can tell you real quick, I was saying I hate Florida very, very quickly, right? But it's the same thing. Your environment, it helps create your emotional standing of where you are, and you guys are making it so people are feeling better emotions within their work, within their, maybe even downtimes in hospitals, things like that. I love that. Let's go a little bit deeper into you, Grant. I'm, as being an entrepreneur for so many years, having multiple different businesses now, being in my seat a few years ago where you're running an advertising agency to now running this new company. Do you have any stories or challenges that you've faced as an entrepreneur that you've overcome and kind of changed the way you look at business that you would like to share with our listeners here?
Yeah, many, I guess. So I think probably the biggest learning that I've had, the biggest realization I came to is when you mix in the entrepreneurial community, everyone talks about this idea of being a serial entrepreneur as like a badge of honor, right? Oh, he's a serial entrepreneur, like it's a good thing. And it's great, but I think the people that I've been around, the entrepreneurs that I've been around that have been most successful are the ones that have run their business for a long time. It's been one business that solves a big problem and they've got really, really good at it. And so I think probably the single biggest challenge I face as an entrepreneur is running one business at a time. And this now, right, what I'm doing right now is the first time in 20 years that I've run one business. And it's amazing. I mean, it's kind of scary because if something goes wrong with this business, then who knows? But it gives you, I'm at my desk from early in the morning till, I go home and I enjoy it. I like the business, but I'm working on one thing. And that single-minded focus, it's amazing how much more you can get done in a day when you're working on one thing than when you're trying to pick up this media business, this advertising, like whatever it is. For me, it's been a learning whether I can keep it going for much longer or whether I, have to find someone to run my business day to day every day so I can go and do the new things, which really gets me out of bed in the morning. Maybe that'll happen, but I do believe that businesses benefit enormously from having a management team that has a single-minded focus towards building that business and solving the problems that business solves.
I love it. Steve Jobs talks a lot about focus and getting away from the noise and really moving towards action. And I think that's what you're hitting on, Grant, is just really making sure that serial entrepreneur. Yeah, you're right. It sounds fun. Sounds stressful. It sounds like a lot to deal with, right? So having your mind, especially someone like yourself who's gone through the ringer, who's been an entrepreneur, who's now focused on one business, allows you to put all of that energy in one thing. And a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this right now, I bet you guys have 10,000 other concepts that you want to run, and you have a business at your fingertips. You have an opportunity right there to make something great. And yeah, there might be problems, there might be pitfalls, there might be distractions, there might be issues, but that's a part of every business. And if you can say focus and concentrate
Yeah.
on that single thing, you can truly find success. I gotta ask you, you have any advice for an agency owner, for someone like myself after selling yours? Any advice for people that are in the marketing world or starting agencies?
There's a lot of ways to run an agency, right? And I think I still have an interest in a HubSpot agency that, I'm still very involved in. And I see the difference between people that have really productized their agency offerings and deliver a very simple service in a very simple niche, and it becomes very repeatable. And I think there's something very sexy about that. And as an agency owner, I think it's a really sexy thing. If I could have 5,000 customers and I could sell them this one thing that's repeatable and hopefully get AI to do it, it sounds like a really profitable model. The other side of that is that it's incredibly competitive right now. And I'm glad I'm not in the agency space, because I think it's like, I look at the number of outreaches I get every day from people who can bring me 500 more leads a week and all of this stuff. It's very competitive. And I think it's hard to stand out. And I think that's where the agencies that have the courage to continue to offer a more expensive service, a customized service that actually understands what the business is trying to achieve and helps them achieve that, I think is a great space. Of which ones of those is going to be more profitable, which is what entrepreneurs are all about anyway, I'm not sure. But it's this idea of turning agency work into a product is the downside of a product. And I learned this when I started a product business, is the downside of having a product is that anyone can copy it and it's a race to zero price wise. So if you're selling a product, it's all about volume. If you're selling a service, it's about how good you can be at that service. And I think there's somewhere in there sits a sweet spot that if you get it right is great. And if you don't, you just keep battling.
That's great advice. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. I have one final question for you. As an individual who has, yeah, as you said, you constantly innovate your current business, you innovated previous businesses, and you've grown throughout being an entrepreneur throughout the years. How do you find your Kaizen? Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy that means 1% improvement every day in both business and itself. What are you doing as an individual to ensure that you're constantly motivated to work every single day, to drive yourself forward, and to be increasing your knowledge, increasing your business expertise, and increasing yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's a concept that we've it's been part of my life for a long time. And this idea of just making those 1% improvements. And sometimes I'm conscious of it and sometimes I let it slip, and it's easy to not. So what I'm doing currently, and it actually just recently got back in this habit, is trying every day in my journal just to write down what was the one little improvement I did today, right? Because just acknowledging that improvement, no matter how hard the day was, if little steps forward are just a bit bigger than the little steps back, you've made big improvements. I'm trying to be conscious of that. I try to instill in the team this idea that we'll never be perfect and we'll make mistakes, but as long as we're just a little bit better than we were yesterday, it's not trying to not make the same mistake we made yesterday, and make it a little bit better and let it, it's that piece. And and I think a big part of that is just acknowledging the success. I find it very easy to always be focusing on the things that went wrong and knowing that I've got to improve those. But if I'm conscious and mindful about acknowledging the things that went right, that builds a lot more momentum than focusing on all the stuff that went wrong.
For all business owners, take that one to heart. I mean, this is, if you guys listen to our last 3 or 4 podcasts, in one way or another, every successful entrepreneur has almost said the same thing, where you have to appreciate your wins. You have to care about your successes, and you have to understand what those small little incremental increases in your life and in your business are, and recognize those things. Grant uses a journal, and I think that's super, super powerful, because not only are you thinking it, you're writing it and reading it, all parts of the absorption of your body. And it really gives you that understanding of how you're improving. Grant, I love this. If someone is looking to find you, looking a little bit more information about your business, or looking to install one of these beautiful greeneries in their business, how they get in contact with you?
Everything's on our website, so growup.green. We've got, I think, the coolest domain name of any of the people in our industry, with the no.com, just growup.green. And yeah, reach out to us that way. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, personally on LinkedIn. GrowUp's on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Follow us. All of that stuff. It's very inspiring. Show it to your wife. Tell her that she wants to buy it for you. Get out there. And I think what's important is that there are products and solutions that you can find that are cost effective, right? Sure, most of what we show off is the $50 million home with the giant green wall and all that stuff. But there's a way to do it in a much smaller way, and we can always find a solution. That's part of that business solution. So that's what that's what we always try to do. No client too small. Some are, but we try to have the no client too small approach.
I love that. And all the information is going to be found below in the description. Thank you guys. If you have finished this podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Grant, thank you so much for your time. And we'll see everybody else on the next Kaizen podcast.